Carlo Goldoni was born on February 25, 1707, in Venice, Italy. He is widely regarded as one of the most important figures in the history of Italian theatre. Known for his innovative approach to comedy, Goldoni transformed the landscape of Italian drama, moving away from the improvisational style of commedia dell'arte to a more structured and scripted form of theatre. Through his extensive body of work, he reshaped the way characters were portrayed and how stories were told on the stage, influencing generations of playwrights and theatre practitioners. Goldoni's early years were spent in the beautiful city of Venice, which was known for its art, culture, and intellectual life. His father was a lawyer, and it was expected that Carlo would follow in his footsteps and study law. However, Goldoni's true passion lay in the theatre. Even as a young man, he was drawn to the world of acting and writing, and he soon decided to pursue a career in playwriting. Despite his father's initial opposition to this path, Goldoni eventually followed his heart and became a playwright, much to the benefit of Italian theatre. In his early career, Goldoni wrote a variety of plays, mostly comedies. The landscape of Italian theatre at the time was dominated by commedia dell'arte, a form of theatre that relied heavily on improvisation and stock characters. Commedia dell'arte performances were often spontaneous and unscripted, with actors performing exaggerated roles such as Harlequin, Columbina, and Pantalona. These performances, while entertaining, lacked structure and depth. Goldoni, however, believed that theatre could be more than just improvisation and caricature. He sought to create plays that were more realistic and that reflected the lives and emotions of everyday people. Goldoni's decision to move away from the traditional commedia dell'arte style was revolutionary. He began writing plays that featured well-developed characters, clear plots, and dialogue that reflected real human experiences. His characters were no longer one-dimensional stock figures, but were instead multifaceted individuals with distinct personalities, motivations, and emotions. Goldoni's approach to character development set his work apart from the theatre of his time, and helped to establish him as a major force in Italian drama. One of Goldoni's most famous and important plays is La Locandiera, the Innkeeper. The play tells the story of Mirandolina, a clever and independent woman who runs an inn and attracts the attention of several men. What makes Mirandolina's character stand out is her intelligence and power, which contrasts with the typical portrayals of women in 18th-century theatre. Instead of being a passive, romantic figure, Mirandolina is an active and shrewd character who understands her own strength. This was a bold and forward-thinking portrayal of women at a time when female characters were often depicted as weak or dependent. La Locandiera became one of Goldoni's most famous plays, and remains a popular work in the theatre repertoire to this day. Another significant play in Goldoni's oeuvre is Il Servitore di due padroni, The Servant of Two Masters. This is a fast-paced and farcical comedy that tells the story of Truffaldino, a servant who, in an attempt to earn more money, agrees to serve two masters at the same time without either one knowing. The play is filled with misunderstandings, mistaken identities, and comic situations that arise from Truffaldino's deceit. Il Servitore di due padroni is a prime example of Goldoni's ability to mix humor with intricate plot lines, and it remains one of the most performed comedies in the world. The character of Truffaldino has become an iconic figure in theatre, representing the clever, mischievous servant that has appeared in many other comedies since. In addition to his mastery of comedy, Goldoni was also skilled in writing plays that dealt with human relationships, love, and the social dynamics of the time. His plays often reflect the class structure of society, with themes involving the interactions between servants and masters, or between young lovers and their families. Through these relationships, Goldoni was able to comment on the social norms and expectations of 18th-century Italy. For example, in many of his plays, the dynamics between the upper and lower classes are explored, often showing how social expectations can lead to misunderstandings, conflict, and comedy. Goldoni's work was not only popular in Italy, but also gained recognition across Europe. His plays were translated into many languages, and his influence spread beyond Italy's borders. His writing laid the foundation for modern Italian theater, and his influence can be seen in the works of later playwrights such as Luigi Pirandello and Edoardo de Filippo. Goldoni's ability to create realistic dialogue, develop complex characters, and structure his plays effectively had a lasting impact on the evolution of European theater. However, Goldoni's career was not without challenges. His shift away from the traditional commedia dell'arte style was not always welcomed by actors who were used to the improvisational methods of the old style. Some actors and theater companies resisted his changes, as they had grown accustomed to performing without scripts or direction. Despite these difficulties, Goldoni remained committed to his vision of structured, realistic theater, and his work continued to gain popularity. Later in life, Goldoni moved to Paris, where he spent the final years of his career. His decision to move to France was partly due to his desire to escape the political and cultural changes taking place in Italy. In Paris, he continued to write plays, though some of his later works were not as successful as his earlier comedies. Nevertheless, Goldoni's legacy remained strong, and he was respected for his contributions to the world of theater. Carlo Goldoni passed away on February 6, 1793, just a few weeks before his 86th birthday. His death marked the end of a remarkable career that had revolutionized Italian theater. Goldoni's works continue to be performed around the world, and his influence on theater is still felt today. His ability to create engaging characters, clever plots, and insightful social commentary has ensured that his plays remain relevant, even centuries after they were written. Goldoni's contribution to theater was immense. By moving away from the exaggerated, improvised performances of commedia dell'arte and focusing on well-written, structured plays, he helped to shape the future of Italian drama. His works, such as La Locandira and Il Servitore di due Padroni, remain staples of the theater repertoire and continue to captivate audiences with their humor, complexity, and timeless appeal. Carlo Goldoni's impact on the world of theater will continue to be remembered for generations to come, making him one of the greatest playwrights in history.